What's up, guys? It's Tony with Thrill the Grill. We are finally getting back to our Jeep TJ build. This is our budget Jeep. We bought the vehicle for $2,000, and we're trying to keep the cost of everything under $4,000. So that's with the total of the Jeep, all the repairs and upgrades. In the last couple of videos, we pretty much did a lot of repairs and maintenance. Well, in this video, we'll finally get to do something that's a little more fun. We're going to get a lift kit on this Jeep TJ. Since this is a budget build, this is a budget lift. So this is probably one of the most budget lift kits you can get for a Jeep TJ that is not a spacer or a puck lift. So this lift kit here, this is a rough country lift kit. It is a 2.5-inch spring, and it comes with shocks. Okay, guys, when you're doing a lift kit on any Jeep that is a solid axle vehicle, you do not need spring compressors. I see it all the time, and those things, they get dangerous. You don't need it. There's a really easy way to do it with the right jack stands and just a little bit of know-how on how to do it. You can get the springs in and out without a spring compressor, and it's a lot safer. At least I think it is. Now look, there are a lot of applications on where you are going to need a spring compressor, and that's any vehicle with a strut. So if you are taking apart a strut, please use a spring compressor. If you don't, it can get very dangerous. You need something to hold the pressure on that coil when you take apart that strut. If not, that coil will fly off that strut, and if it don't hit you, you're going to get lucky. So just don't do it. Get a spring compressor. Follow the instructions on that spring compressor on how to use it so you can stay safe when you're taking apart that strut. What I said at the beginning of this video, I said if you have the proper jack stand, you can do this lift kit on any Jeep with a solid axle without using a spring compressor. Now, the problem is a lot of your normal jack stands are not going to be tall enough. Even the 12-ton jack stands from like Harbor Freight, they work, but they're not quite tall enough. So let me show you the perfect jack stand to get. Now look, I am doing this on a lift. I get it. It's a lot easier on a lift. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I've worked on the ground for many years. So I'm right there with you. I've done it on the ground, okay? It's not that I haven't. If I don't have to, I don't do it anymore. I just put it on the lift. So let me show you the jack stands that I used when I was working in my driveway to do any lift kit on any of these Jeeps. So hold on one second. Here it is. If you at least have two of these bad boys, you can do a lift kit on any of your Jeeps and just drop the axle out, and this will have your Jeep high enough to where you just drop that suspension out without having to use a spring compressor. Now this is a Sunex HD, a 10-ton jack stand. This thing is awesome. If you can see here, let me see if I can get the highest pin. I'm not that tall. I'm like 5'7.5", so I'm not tall at all. But it's still pretty tall jack stand. So the tallest height is right here. So right under my chest. That's how high you can get this. Now the only downfall is, do you have a big enough jack to jack it up that high? I did not, so I only used this on like, I think it was like 2 or 3 holes up. That's as high as my jack stand would allow me, well, my jack would allow me to get it on this jack stand. Now, to be honest with you, it still wasn't bad because I was able to sit under my Jeep and work on it. So all I would do is put these on the front of the frame and the back of the frame, and man, it gets your Jeep up high enough. These were only a couple $100, so I think I spent like $500 for 4 of them. Now, you don't want to get all 4 of them because they do take up some space, but you plan on working on your Jeep, and you might not have a car lift, which is no biggie. I didn't have a car lift for years, many years. Now, I did when I went to work because I was a mechanic for 15 years, but when I worked on this stuff at home, it was in my driveway. I didn't even have a garage to put the Jeep in. So I would put a little pop-up tent up. If it's raining or if it's too hot, I'd pop something up and work under it. So not just until, I don't know, 6 months ago, I didn't have any of this. So anyhow, but if you don't want to buy all 4 of these jack stands, but you do want to work on your Jeep and you want it to be easier to work on, get tall enough jack stands to make that possible for yourself. These jack stands are awesome. I love them. So all you would need really to do is if you get just get a set of these. So have 2 of these jack stands, and you want to do a lift kit, you can just do the front of your Jeep first and then move them to the back and do the back, or vice versa. So you don't technically need 4 of these. So they do take up quite a bit of space. But for me, I was working on these things on the ground all the time. So I had all 4 because I would tear it off, do long arm suspensions, and I would just, having them in the front of the frame and the back of the frame, everything is just wide open, made it really easy to work on. Easy to roll around on the ground, that's for sure. All right, let's get to it. Let's get this Jeep tore apart. Let's get this suspension on there. So this video is going to be dropping a little late. My grandparents got in a car accident. They are doing okay, but they need a little extra help. So I've been helping them out as much as possible. So I haven't had a chance to get in the shop for a little while. But I will get back onto schedule once everyone starts getting better and I can get a little more time over here. But until then, I'm going to do my best to get the videos out on a timely manner. So you're probably wondering, why the heck are you loosening those control arm bolts? All you're doing is springs and shocks. You don't need to do that. All right, so the reason why I'm doing that is I do not like using spring compressors. So when you loosen up these rear control arm bolts at the frame, or control arm bolts at the frame, it allows the axle to drop. So those bushings hold memory. So wherever those bushings are tightened, that's where those bushings like to stay. So when I try to drop out the suspension with those bolts tight, it's not going to allow that suspension to drop. So when I loosen these bolts, it's going to allow those control arms to be loose, so it'll allow that suspension to drop, so I can get these springs out and get the new ones in. All right, to get this Jeep tore apart about how I have it now, pretty much everything is out of it. We got the springs out of it. I got to take the shocks off from the top here. Just haven't got around to it on both sides. But pretty much the whole front end's tore apart. So when I'm doing this, to make it easy on yourself, obviously you have to take the sway bar links, disconnect those. I disconnect the drag link from the pitman arm, and you want to unhook the front track bar. That allows the front of this axle to not have any binding and allow it to drop down so you can get the old suspension out and get the new suspension in. I am going to have to loosen probably the upper control arms at the frame there on both sides. I don't have quite enough droop to put the new spring in this Jeep. Okay, after about blowing my thumb apart there on the rotor there, getting my thumb smashed, hurt pretty good, hurt pretty bad, whatever you want to call it. Anyhow, since we're putting a lift on this, we can't just keep stock tires on this. So we were going to go with just a stock wheel and run the old 15-inch wheel, which that's just not good enough. So we were going to go with, let me show you here, these JK wheels. Can you see them here? Nope, there we go. We were going to go with those JK wheels. They actually come off this Rubicon, that JK Rubicon that we've been building here the last couple months. That thing's come a long way. That was bone stock just a couple months ago. Now it has a long arm, bunch of crazy stuff, nice steering, and a lot of Gen Right aftermarket fenders and bumpers and all that stuff. Anyhow, we're not talking about that one today. We're talking about this budget TJ. So we ended up finding wheels for this on Facebook Marketplace, I think it was, $200 for a set of 5. We ended up buying 4 tires. We did not get a spare. Hopefully don't bite us in the butt down the road. Anyhow, then we went just some cheap tires for it. So we ended up getting 33 by 12.5, 17 tires. And we put them on this JLU. Anyhow, those wheels are what we're going to put on this. They were only $200. And I think we ended up spending like $700 on these tires. A little more than what I wanted to spend. I was trying to find some stuff off of Facebook Marketplace, and they didn't have any kind of good deals. But anyhow, these tires are rolling big power. So pretty cheap tires. Never heard of them. The compound on them is pretty soft, so definitely they're not going to hold up that great on the road. But we're just going to kind of cruise with this on the weekend, do some light wheeling and stuff like that. So it's not that big of a deal. They'll last a long time on this TJ, the way we're going to drive it. But we're going to go ahead and get back to this build now. But before we do, check this thing out. I don't know if you guys are into RC cars, but that's a Traxxas X-Max. The thing is huge. Then we also have some old Traxxas cars, an old Rustler. There's a Stampede in there. There's an E-Max in there. So pretty cool. And then we also do some crawling. So we got this Red Cat here. I don't know if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, but do a lot of it. So pretty cool. Anyhow, we're going to go ahead and get back to our budget build. With this rear track bar, I'm trying to get the rear bolt off out at the frame. I got it to spin, but it won't come out. So more than likely, this bolt is seized in the bushing in there. So I'll probably end up having to cut that bolt and drop this track bar out of here. But I am on a budget, so I do not want to have to do that right now if I don't have to. I kind of mushroomed the end of that bolt with the arrow hammer. I was hoping it would come out and I'll just replace the bolt. Well, that's not the case. So I'll probably take the die grinder where that's a little mushroomed, clean up the end of that bolt and see if I can get the nut back on there. And if I get the nut back on there, I'll just tighten that back up. And we're going to continue to keep using that rear track bar for now, because I am on a budget. So I ended up getting, if you can see here, I got the rear track bar unbolted at the axle. It's a little bit more difficult to get in there because that is a Torx bolt and it's right up against the gas tank. Normally I take it off at the frame and just drop it down, but in this case it works, so I'm not going to worry about it. But there it is. I got the whole suspension tore apart. I did not take the back shocks off yet. I am going to mess with that. But also, oh yeah, you keep seeing it in the back. I took a break from trying to get that rear track bar off because I was getting pretty frustrated because I'm doing my best not to have to spend a bunch of extra money. So I did not want to have to buy a track bar right now. Maybe down the road or whatever, but the sole purpose is to build this thing for under that $4,000 and be able to go out and drive it and wheel it for that price. So I'm trying not to go over that limit. Oh, excuse me. Anyhow, since I took a break from working on this, hung something in the shop here. Check it out. There was a deal on Fire TVs. It's a 75-inch TV for in the shop. Did not buy a workbench. Instead of buying a workbench, got a flat screen TV. Even better. But it's all right. We kind of want to keep this place so, you know, everyone can kind of come out, work on their stuff, and having that TV is kind of nice when everybody's here. So it'd be pretty cool. Always used to like to get the Jeep clubs together and just build Jeeps. So, you know, kind of turning this into a little bit of a hangout over there. You know, just kind of get together, work on Jeeps. It's the way it's supposed to be. It's always fun that way. Anyhow, that's as far as I'm going to get in this video. In the next video, I'm going to get the suspension on there. And we have one more very important thing. If you can see what I'm kind of pointing out there, that needs to be done. I think it's one of the most crucial upgrades you can do on any vehicle, lifted or not. There's a purpose, multiple purposes for the upgrade. But if you guys like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. Like always, if you guys have any comments about anything that I've been doing on this build or just any Jeep in general, ask away. I'll do my best to help you guys out. That's what this is all about. We're a Jeep community. We're here to help everybody out. So if I can help you out, please ask questions, ask away.